There's a specific disorienting moment that almost every woman going through a divorce describes to me the same way. She's standing in front of a mirror, brushing her teeth, getting dressed, doing something completely mundane, and she catches her own reflection and genuinely does not recognize who's looking back. Not because her face changed, because she can no longer tell you who that woman actually is, underneath the roles she's been playing for the last 15 or 20 years. That moment gets treated like a symptom of grief, and it is, but it's also something more specific than grief. It's the first honest evidence that an entire identity was built on a foundation of somebody else's expectations. And now that the marriage is gone, the scaffolding is exposed. You were his wife. You were the children's mother. You were the one who kept the household running, who remembered the anniversaries, who smoothed things over. And all of that was real, but none of it was actually you. It was a series of roles you performed so well that you stopped noticing where the performance ended and the person began. I worked with a woman, sharp, capable, the kind of person other people call for advice, who told me she hadn't made a single decision purely for herself in over a decade. Not what to eat for dinner, not what to watch, not what city to live in. Every choice ran through a filter of what would keep the peace, what would meet an expectation, what would be least disruptive to everyone else's life. When her marriage ended, she wasn't just losing a partner. She was losing the only operating system she'd used to make decisions for 10 years, and she had no idea what to replace it with. This is the part nobody prepares you for. You expect the grief, you expect the anger, the relief, the fear about money, the fear about being alone. What almost no one warns you about is the identity vacuum, the disorienting blank space where a self used to be, except it turns out that self was never fully built. It was borrowed, inherited from a mother who modeled self-erasure as devotion, absorbed from a culture that still quietly tells women their value is measured by how well they serve everyone around them. Here is the belief I want you to examine, because it's running underneath that mirror moment, whether you've named it or not. The idea that who you are is supposed to be defined by who you're needed by. Wife, mother, the reliable one, the strong one. And when those roles get disrupted by divorce, by an empty nest, by a career ending, the belief collapses along with them, because it was never built to survive on its own. It needed someone else's need for you in order to function. I want to offer you a different foundation. You are not the sum of the roles you've performed. Underneath every version of you that existed to serve someone else's needs, there is a woman who has never actually been given the chance to exist for her own sake. She's not gone, she's not damaged, she has simply never been excavated because there was never a moment of enough disruption to force the question, until now. This is exactly why I don't start this work by asking women what they want their next chapter to look like. That question assumes there's already a clear self standing there, ready to choose. Instead, we start by excavating, going back through the layers of script and armor to find what was actually true about you before you started performing for an audience. What did you love before you learned it was inconvenient? What did you believe before someone told you it was selfish? That's not nostalgia, that's data. That's the raw material for rebuilding an identity that belongs to you instead of to everyone who needed something from you. The woman in the mirror who feels like a stranger is not a warning sign. She is the most honest moment you've had in years, because for the first time, there's no performance left to maintain. That blankness is not emptiness, it's clearing. You're not starting over, you're becoming who you were always meant to be. And the first step isn't deciding who to become, it's excavating who was buried underneath the roles all along. I want to give you a sense of what this excavation actually looks like in practice, because it's easy to talk about in the abstract and much harder to walk through in real life. With the woman I mentioned, the one who hadn't made a purely personal decision in a decade, we didn't start by asking her what she wanted her future to look like. That question was, at that point, unanswerable, and asking it repeatedly would have only deepened her sense of failure for not having a ready response. Instead, we went backward. What did she love before the age of 12, before roles and expectations had fully calcified around her? She remembered almost sheepishly that she used to write. Not professionally, not with any ambition attached to it at all. She simply used to write stories, alone, for no audience, purely because it absorbed her completely. She hadn't done it in over 20 years. That memory is not a coincidence, and it's not nostalgia for its own sake. It's data about who she was before the performance started, before every choice ran through a filter of usefulness to someone else. The awareness phase is simply noticing these threads, the things you loved, believed, or gravitated toward before you learned they were inconvenient, impractical, or beside the point of what a good wife, a good mother, a good employee was supposed to want. The excavation phase goes deeper than the memory itself, into the moment the thread got cut. For her, it was a specific conversation in high school, being told that writing was a nice hobby, but not a serious use of her considerable intelligence, that she should focus on something with a clearer, more respectable path. She took that advice. It wasn't wrong, exactly. She built a genuinely successful life on the path she chose instead. But somewhere in taking it, she also absorbed a broader lesson, that the things she loved purely for their own sake were less legitimate than the things that served a visible, external purpose. That lesson generalized far beyond writing. It became the operating principle for almost every decision that followed. Reconstruction meant something very specific and very small to start. She began writing again, badly, inconsistently, with absolutely no goal attached to it, purely to practice making a choice for no reason other than that it was hers. That sounds like a minor act. It was not minor to her. It was the first deliberate act of self-definition she had made in over a decade, and it became the template for every larger decision that followed. Where to live, what relationships to keep, what her next career chapter would actually be built around, instead of what it would look like from the outside. Embodiment for her arrived quietly, almost a year later, when she caught her own reflection again in an ordinary moment, and this time, she recognized the woman looking back. Not because that woman had become someone new, because she had finally excavated enough of who was always there to recognize her. I want to say something to whichever version of this you're living right now. The blankness you feel when you look in that mirror is not a void you need to urgently fill with a new identity, a new hobby, a new 5-year plan. It is an invitation to go slower than that, to ask what was true about you before the performance started, and to trust that the answer is retrievable even after decades of not being asked. If you're standing in that mirror moment right now, unsure who's looking back, that's the exact starting point for the Sovereign Identity Audit, a focused first step designed to help you name what's actually yours underneath everything you were performing. Link in bio for the next right step recovery.